Hello and welcome to another episode of Wellness with EAC. We have made it to episode 15. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you for giving the time to tune into the conversation so far. What has been your favorite? How have you enjoyed listening to this episode? Are you checking us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube? You like the visual? If not, those are all the places that we are every single Wednesday. We love connecting with you and having some incredible guests to talk about topics that matter on this side of career wellness and our faith journeys, and also topics that matter to you. For today's episode, it's so special because I have an incredible guest with me today. The conversations that we're about to have, that we had before we hit record, and we're about to have, you don't want to miss. This woman is incredible. She's incredibly talented, well educated. She is an entrepreneur extraordinaire. She is just one really, really amazing person. Okay, so we are so excited to have Dr. Vaughn, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. Her career is marked by her role as a strategist and an implementer of complex projects that span public and private sectors. She has led numerous high-stake initiatives that require meticulous oversight and strategic foresight. That includes her work with the Navy Bureau of Medicine and Surgery and as an IT acquisition specialist for the U.S. Army INSCOM G6. Her expertise also includes project management, and it's evidenced by her successful management of disaster recovery efforts for public safety mission critical systems across district-wide projects. Dr. Vaughn holds a PhD in public safety leadership with a concentration in emergency management from Capella University and a Master of Science in Business Management from Troy State University. And she's also a certified project management professional. So you are going to hear a lot more about Dr. Vaughn, who is the president and CEO of Antaro Solutions. And I'm so excited for you to hear more about her and her story in this episode. Dr. Vaughn, thank you and welcome to episode 15.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for having me. It's great. I always look forward to conversing with you. So, your podcast is no different. Let's do it.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, there's so much that is in your bio. You have done a lot. You have seen a lot. You have impacted many. Tell us more about it. I know I talked a little bit high level about your education and experience, but give us a breakdown. Take us deep. What is your education and work background look like?
Okay. So, it didn't start that way for sure. I was a teen mom at 17. So, when that happened, when I became pregnant with my oldest son, I kind of, for a moment felt like all of the dreams and aspirations that I had for myself went out the window, and of course, my grandmother, my mother felt the same way, and they shared that with me on a day-to-day basis. Okay. That's just how it works as a teen mom. I always thought that I would be, a lawyer, going directly to college and, pledging a sorority and just, living that whole little collegiate life like we see on, a different world. But that
Mm-hmm.
was not my world. I had a far different world. So because I was a teen mom, I joined the military right out of high school. So I had my oldest son like 2 weeks after graduating in June of 1990.
Mm,
That December, I was on my way to basic training, enlisted as an E1 and was on my way to basic training. And during that time, Desert Storm, Desert Shield was, going on. So, that was kind of scary. We didn't know what we didn't know. All I knew is that, I had this little baby that needed, his mom to be able to take care of him. And I knew
yes.
that, even though my dream or the plan that I had for myself, didn't work out the way I saw it initially, my pivot involved me still going to college. So, the
Mm,
military was the way for me. That was the door for me. And I'll tell anyone to this day, granted, it wasn't an easy lifestyle. You can pick and choose your heart. Nothing's easy, but I will always be forever grateful for the experiences that I've had in the military because,
Mm,
I am, I'll tell anybody I'm where I am now because of the military. And I know, this may be like a little, going off on a little tangent or like a little recruitment, pitch, but, the military is suffering with trying to get recruits. But for me, it was a great place to start. And
mm-hmm,
I'm looking at where I started and where I've landed is totally different. But the military, all those experiences catapulted me to where I am now. So
mm,
when I was in the military, my first duty assignment was Seoul, Korea. I was stationed at this small little base. I was a radio repairman, and they had a little building on post. We called it the education center or the post library. It really wasn't all that. It was probably like maybe like a 2-room building.
mm-hmm.
And so, there was a civilian that worked in there, and they would have instructors come in on a rotational basis, either from University of Maryland or Central Texas College. And so I knew I wanted to study business. I always had a dream that I was this business person. I'm so glad that God put it on my heart or put that in my heart when I was a young
Mm-hmm.
child. I knew that I was a business person just from the way I
Mm-hmm.
moved. I knew it. And so, when he put up that little schedule of classes, I was like, I'm going to sign up for this class and I'm going to ask my boss if I can start taking classes. And that's how it all began.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
yep, that's how it all began. And so, kind of fast forward because of military commitments and trying to raise a child, it took me forever. Okay. When I say forever, it took me forever to finish undergrad. So the
Mm-hmm.
military had a program called degree completion. And so I was able to, so let me come back to that. So through the grace of God, I was able to apply for officer candidate school
Mm-hmm.
without having an undergrad.
Oh,
I
wow.
completed that, got my commission as a lieutenant. And at the rank of first lieutenant, I was able to apply for this program, degree completion. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
able to go uninterrupted to Savannah State University at an HBCU and attend school for like 18 months. And I got
Wow.
my bachelor's in business administration with an emphasis in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that
Wow.
was a great, great time. And I felt like I was so far behind, because it took me forever to get the undergrad that once I,
Mm-hmm.
returned to the Army, I immediately started my master's. And I got my
Mm.
master's from Troy State University in business management. So, and then of course you just keep going. I thought at that point I was done, but I had a mentor from Savannah State and I was like so in awe of this lady, Black lady. She had 2
Mm-hmm.
PhDs. I was like, who does that? Like, and she
Who
was like,
does? Yeah,
right. She was like,
she
you can
does.
do it. She was like, you can do it. I was like, that's crazy. She was like, watch, you can do it. Give
Yeah.
yourself some time and you'll come back and you'll do it. And I did. And when I finished, when I, defended my dissertation, I looked her up on LinkedIn and I told her because she was my inspiration. She really was.
Wow.
So that's been
Wow.
my educational journey. But of course, based on the letters behind my name, I'm a continuous learner and it ain't gonna stop. So, of course I have a terminal degree, but there are various other certifications and, you know, things that I want to accomplish because the one thing that I did learn in getting a PhD,
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know a lot of stuff. So
So you're just there. You know what? You're in the school of life,
Mhm.
and every so often you'll enroll in a formal education setting. You come
Yes,
back out of there, you're still learning, and I
yes.
love that. You're the first guest that we've had that has had and spoken about military experience, and I think that is a really important conversation to have because oftentimes, just in the day-to-day work that I do, I'm talking to especially a lot of young students before they decide what's next for them. And not all of them are meant for college right away,
Mhm.
regardless of their life circumstance. They're not meant for college at that time. They should be going another route, looking at trade school, looking at the military, maybe taking a gap year, going and doing a certification at the community college. And we're having a lot of conversations dispelling this you leave and there's this one directional path. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate you being here and sharing your story because we can see your success on the other side. And I'm sure your son is so grateful. You know, your kids are grateful just looking at you now because you did that. It's not easy
No.
enrolling in the military as a brand spanking new mom,
Mhm.
and just getting through to finish that degree, but you did it. You persisted and you
Yeah.
persevered. So I really appreciate you sharing that experience.
Yeah, the military also was a place, in addition to my business aspirations as a young child, I was always intrigued with the military. So I was born and raised in Portsmouth, Virginia, and
Mm-hmm.
the Norfolk Naval Base is not too far away. So, and my family worked there, so they would have
Mm-hmm.
family days, and my mom would take, me and my sister and my brothers, and we go walk around the shipyard, and you would see these, sailors, walking around, in their uniforms, and they had
Mm-hmm.
purpose. And I was like, that's what I want to be a part of. It's like they got something to do. They're not just sitting around waiting to be told. They got stuff to do. I wanted to be part of something that was, part of a bigger mission.
Right.
I was always, just in awe of the military. So initially I thought it was going to be the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
but never learned really to swim that well. So that was out.
That
And
was out.
so,
Yep.
yeah. And so I joined during Desert Storm, like I mentioned. And so,
Mm-hmm.
there were some concerns because I had a baby, hey, you want to give up custody, or you may have to, give custody to your mom. So
Mm.
while all that stuff going on in the backdrop, this Army recruiter, he was like, hey, you still want to join the military? I was like, yes. He was like, I got you. And he did.
Wow.
And what's so crazy is that the same guy that enlisted me, got me signed up, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
later, he got my sister.
You know what? He is good at his job. Let's just recruit the whole family.
Yep, he got us both. Yep. Unbeknownst to
Wow.
him, which was crazy. It wasn't intentional, but he did. But he was from that small town in Portsmouth, it's a
Mm-hmm.
small town. And there's really, I'm thankful because there's really not a whole lot there. And it's so crazy because I watch a lot of, while I'm working out lately, I watch a lot of shows on, like, I ain't ashamed. Let me just put it like it. I've been watching Raising Canaan. And before
Ah,
that, I've
okay.
been watching Ghost to I love those shows because I always learn something. I always
Mm-hmm.
learn something. So the other day I was watching one of the episodes, and the little background narration voice said that a small fish will grow to the size a fish will grow to the size of its tank. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have a small fish in a small tank, he's gonna stay small. But if you have a fish and you put that same fish in a larger tank, he gonna blow up to take
Right.
up that additional space. So that's what I needed. Joining the military
Yes.
was putting me in that larger tank. And
Mm.
man, did you know what I mean? And I'm still working on blowing up, trying to fill the space within my tank.
That's it. That's it. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah,
I
he
think
said it
that's
with
just
cuss
such
words, but I was trying to remember in my mind.
like, how do we do the PG version of this?
Right, right,
Actually, just the G rated, the
right,
all
right,
rated version of this. No,
right.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So tell me, what are you really proud of? What is one thing you're saying, you know what? I have really been doing this thing and I'm so excited about this result. I am so proud of this accomplishment in this season of my life.
I can't say it's any one thing because
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. I'm
Okay.
so grateful for so many things, but I would just say I'm really proud of my resilience through all of
Mm.
it because everything brings its challenges. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not ashamed to say, like, right now I'm going through a divorce, but I stay strong. My faith in
Mm.
God, I've not wavered. Matter of fact, and this is not a plug to getting divorced because I'm all about family and marriages, but I've leveled up each and every time.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If something's bad, if a relationship is bad, I didn't have to stay. And I'm thankful for that because I'm more than taken care of. Like I said, I'm better off than I ever was. And I didn't realize that until I really learned how to lean in and lean on God,
Mm.
for all of my sustenance and everything that I needed, you know?
Amen.
And I learned that, one of the things, when we were talking about, this episode coming up, one of the things that I wish I had done sooner was, learn how to, I was like, I would tell her, I wish I would have learned how to, I wish I would have trusted God more with the previous challenges I had. But then I
Mm.
realized that, you can't say that because, that trust and that faith that you have now, it was built. It was a muscle. It was tiny, but it's
Yes.
built over the years with all those additional challenges. So
Mm-hmm.
where I am now, it's like my confidence is like, you know what I mean?
I love that.
Because I've watched God do things for me. You know what I mean? I know my
Mm.
Father hears me. You know what I mean? And I know what it takes
Yeah.
for him to hear my prayers. And I'm just so thankful because it ain't magical. It ain't science. It's the Bible tells us exactly what to do. And I'm just so thankful because, at now I'll be 52 this year, but
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so thankful. And I'm able to share that now with my adult children.
Yes.
So that's what I'm most
Yeah.
proud of. I'm just proud of, still standing throughout it all. And most recently, my most biggest challenge was breast cancer. So I am
Mm-hmm.
a breast cancer survivor.
Mm.
When it hit, it just came out of the blue. To this day, I feel like it was a spiritual attack.
Mm.
'Cause, I'm not, didn't smoke, didn't drink, none of that stuff. You know what I mean? And it just came out of
Yeah.
nowhere. I got my mammograms every year since I turned
Mm-hmm.
everything was clear. Had one most recently the October prior to me finding my lump in April. And I was like,
Mm. Wow.
right. And I
Wow.
mean, it was so weird because I'm taking a shower and it was so big. I was like, what is that? It was like a little horn. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was growing that fast. It was aggressive and growing.
Wow.
And so, of course, when something like that hits, it takes a lot. I was probably in a tailspin for like, I mean, it really did throw me off my game.
Of course it would. That's, yeah, life altering.
But people who knew me, they didn't know otherwise, which I'm thankful for
Mm.
because I wasn't running around like Chicken Little, the sky's falling. I was just like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
what am I gonna do with this? What I do now? And I actually sat on it for like 2 months. I was like, it'll go away. Oh, it's just maybe a fat pocket. Oh, I kind of wished it away. And then something was like, Vaughn, you know better. Get your tail to the doctor.
Yeah.
And when I did, and yeah, the rest was history going forward. But yeah, I'm most proud of, how I went through that journey. It's not
Mm.
about just coming out a breast cancer survivor. It was how I went through that journey. I went through it with gratitude. I learned so much more about God. I'm so thankful. I have another really good friend of mine, Bishop Gail Williams. She
Mm-hmm.
shared a book with me, The Power
Mm-hmm.
of the Holy Communion. I learned so much about God and myself during that time. So that's what
Yes.
I'm most proud of because I feel like, you know, even though breast cancer is bad, I feel
Yeah.
like that situation, the things I learned from that is going to help me kick the rest of life in its tail because I got some hard work to do with, business growth. You know what I mean? But with
Yes.
that confidence that I came out of that breast cancer journey with is going to help
Mm-hmm.
me do that. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for that.
Wow. I mean, there's so much in there, right? This resilience is the resounding resilience and steadfastness in your faith has been kind of resounding theme
Mhm.
around what you're really most proud of and those very distinct examples of how you're doing that and now standing strong, standing tall as a survivor,
Yeah.
right? It's and the things that you've been through, many will go through, and any one of those individual things will break them.
Hmm.
Any one of those individual things will bring them to their knees and onto the ground, not to their knees in prayer to ask God for help, but to their knees in buckling to
Hmm.
give up. And it is a real challenge, right? I haven't personally experienced cancer or divorce, but I've experienced other tumultuous things in life that society would say should break you, right?
Hmm.
But we stand, we get
Hmm.
up, and we realize that even when you were not calling out on God, He was grieving with you. He is there with you through
Hmm.
through all of these circumstances, and sees you on the other side because there's always some things that now are building in you because now you're like, look, and then what?
Hmm.
So what?
And
I'm here.
exactly. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you this, when you were talking, I was just thinking, I said, my time in the military,
Hmm.
really shaped me for that because it was a battle. It was a battle
Yeah.
for my life. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so, with resilience, what I would share with people is, much like soldiers in battle or soldiers preparing for battle, you have to prepare. You don't
Yes.
wait until somebody come and start punching you in the face and be like, oh, how I'm gonna swing, or if they hit me with a left, I'm gonna do like this. No, you have to rehearse in advance. And
Yeah.
nobody, like, I never thought I would have had breast cancer. There's not a history in my family. Like I said,
No.
I didn't smoke. I'm not an excessive. I'm a social drinker. Maybe I might have 3 glasses of wine a whole year. So I was like,
Mm.
how in the world did I get breast cancer? Like, come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, even with those things, whether it's a sickness to your body or something else, we all know challenges are going to come, but you
That's
have to
it.
prepare yourself in advance. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you rehearsing? What are you telling yourself? How are you getting yourself strong for when those times come? You got to do
Mm.
it now. You don't wait until it happens. That's how you build your resilience. So that way, when it does happen, you can respond to that muscle memory. So you can say, oh, okay, so I
Yes.
know, like, when I go through, I'm going to pray, I'm going to fast. And, every day I'm going to give God some time. I'm going to pray, I'm going to worship. That's what you do. You don't wait
Right.
until something hits and be like, oh, I need to call somebody who I know they go to church. And how do I ain't gonna say it's too late, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
It reminds me of who was that? There's that story in the Bible, and who is that person? I mean, there's been people who tried to buy the gift, right, of
Mm-hmm.
the Holy Spirit. But then there was one who was like, I cast you out in the name of Jesus that he's talking about. It was just like, and I laugh about that all the time because you have to recognize that power. And when you accept that power and you are, operating and the Holy Spirit is operating within you, then like it's not even me anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even me. Holy Spirit, take over, do what you need to do. These words, fill my mouth with them, and then you speak. The actions, I've gone through this thing, but it's not because you caused it. It's because we live in a fallen world.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Absolutely.
gone through this thing not because it didn't hurt you. You were right there with me and you're going to help me pick up the
Yeah,
pieces.
because you've already sacrificed and died for my healing. So I just gotta claim it. I gotta walk and claim it. And that's what I did. And that was like the biggest faith exercise I've ever had. Because when
Mm,
you're going through chemotherapy, you trusting people to put, poison basically in your veins.
yep.
And you
Yep.
have people who are, and I was on one of the most aggressive chemotherapy, regimens. And you trusting these
Mm,
people that you don't know to, that, hey, you looking at my readings and you know how much I'm supposed to have, right?
right. Don't put no extra poison, please.
Right, right.
That's the rule
And
of
so,
thumb. No
right.
extra.
And I just trusted God throughout the whole thing because you really have
Mm,
no choice. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Well, you do have a choice. You cannot trust and drive yourself nuts. But I tell
Free
you,
will.
but my doctor, my oncologist, he told me this, Nicole, and it was the biggest compliment he could have ever given me.
Mm,
He said, if you were not my patient, I would not know that you were going through this because I would
mm.
show up to my treatments with my magnetic eyelashes, my brows drawn on, my nice little lace front. Cause he was like, when is your hair gonna start falling out? I was like, dude, I'm like bald, baby butt bald underneath this. He's like, that's a wig. I was like, yeah, but it's a nice wig. You know, and he was just like, oh my gosh. He's like, if you
Yeah.
were my patient, I would not know that you were going through. And that's how I decided to go through. I was determined to not look sick.
Mm-hmm.
I had my press on nails. I was dressed because it made me feel better. Not that I'm
That's
bad.
it.
It just made me feel better. Even on the days where I did not feel like doing anything, even around
Mm-hmm.
my house. There were days where I laid around, but guess what? I had a nice little cute bonnet on my head. I washed my body. Don't just, it's all about how you approach your situation. You know what
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there will be days in between, right?
I mean?
When everything falls apart. Every
Mhm.
little thing, you can't put that bonnet on. It's just like, you know what? That's just one more dose of chemo that I don't know if my body can handle it today. Or, in life, in motherhood, you know what? That kid, that baby, he just did one more thing today, and I just don't know. I just don't know.
Well, look, I would say, that baby, look, embrace that baby and those little things because I have adults, and once your children become adults, they have adult challenges.
Mm,
And as a
yeah.
mom, as a parent, it's so hard to watch because, you know, whatever they decide to do, those are their choices to make. You
That's it.
can't protect them anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the hardest part of mothering adults. But again, it's a faith walk. I think I don't know if I shared this with you before, but
Hmm.
you know, a freebie. I didn't mention this to you, but anybody who's interested, I will buy them a copy of this book because I love it so much. It's called The Power of Praying for Your Adult Children by Stormy or Martian. Look, it is a constant
Jeez.
go-to. There will
Hmm.
be days as a parent of an adult child where they're going through stuff. You don't even have the words. This this little small book is packed with so much power. It has prayers in here where you can just fill in the name. You ain't even got to use your own brain. You could just
Mm.
find an applicable prayer or something similar and just be like, Lord, just help my baby. You know what I mean? This book is, I wish I had it when they were 2. That way I would have it memorized.
By then, you know what? I need it right now because I have the praying circles around your children.
Hmm.
And I do really love that. I love that whole thing, the circle prayer, and that whole series of books. But I love that. Thank you for that generous offer. We will
Hmm.
put that information in the comments for anybody who
Hmm.
wants to reach out that
The
has
first
adult
10, the
children.
first 10.
The first 10 that
Let me
want
put a
to
number
reach
on
out.
it.
The first 10 that reach out. So, okay, limited time, right?
Hmm.
Who a free book that is going to just keep giving in perpetuity in
Yes.
terms of the rewards and experience from it. So, thank you for that offer. And there's another freebie, y'all, coming up at the end. This is not even the only one. But that's just how Dr. Vaughn is. She is just so generous with her time, her energy. Heck, she just showed you her generosity with her finances. 10 people she's buying books for. So one of the last questions I want to ask you before we start to wrap up, we've talked a lot about the experiences that you've been through, the lessons that you have learned, and where you are standing today, right, is evident, right? People are seeing you. If you're on YouTube, they're seeing you. If not, they're hearing you. They're hearing the light in your voice, the just joy, the results, right, of what comes on the other side of what you've gone through. So I would love for you to share with our audience, what does wellness mean to you?
So wellness is multifaceted.
Mm,
It's your spiritual health, it's your mental health, it's your emotional health, it's your physical health, it's your
hmm
financial health. Now, granted, you can't get 100% in all of them, but try to find
Yeah.
that balance, Don't be hard on yourself, you know? And wherever you're challenged, take it to the Lord in prayer. I'm telling you, some people, don't know how. You have to, if you don't know how to pray, it's just a conversation between you and God. But take all
hmm
those things to him. I wear God out. I take nothing's too small. I know my Father in heaven cares about everything that I care about.
He sure does.
And so I take that to him, like, Lord, help me to be a better steward of what you've given me. That's one of my
Mm,
biggest prayers. You know what I mean? Because he's blessed me with so much. I don't want to be viewed as a squanderer. You know what I
hmm
mean? And you don't have to, some people say, oh, I need to make, X, amount of, no, you can be, you can take and multiply what you have if you're wise, if you exercise
mm,
wisdom. And God will he will give all of us wisdom. Okay.
yes.
So that's what I constantly pray for. Now, granted, having things, it's nice, but I prefer to have wisdom. So
hmm
that way, when I get those additional things, I'm using them wisely. I never want to be a squander. I want to be, always practicing stewardship.
I love that. I love that. It's so important to be good stewards of
Of
what we do
everything.
have, of
Yeah, your
everything.
body, especially after having dealt with breast cancer, taking care of your body, what I put
hmm
in your temple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that we have, God gave it to us. So
Mm.
to me, that's wellness. Just being a better steward of everything that we've been blessed with.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And speaking of wisdom, I mean, we could go on the conversations that we have um, when when we're not hitting record on the other side of the camera are always something phenomenal. And I want folks in the audience that need to connect with you, don't even know they need to connect with you yet, to be able to do so, and learn more about what you're doing, and learn more about how they could further connect with you, and your services. So, how can folks stay connected? How do they get in touch with the Dr. Vaughn?
So you can always send me an email. I can be reached at my email address is Giovanna, Givonna, .Baker. So that's my email address. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. I watch my email. I check it probably, if 5011 was a number, 5011 times. That's how many times I check my personal email, 5011.
She's not kidding. She's not kidding. I've never seen anyone who responds as quickly as she does. I'm
I'm
like,
gonna get
how
it
are
checked
you doing it? Because I know you're busy. I know you're booked and busy, but
because
still,
I'm checking my email 5011 times.
yes, yes, you do.
I
So
don't
I
want to miss
think
nothing.
Oh, you know what? It's wonderful. So, yes, please reach out to her via email or on LinkedIn. And we'll also leave the information in the show notes so that it's easily accessible. We're going to update so you have that and can stay connected. And what's in it for them when they reach out to you?
What's in it for them? I would love to connect and, give you a free strategic leadership session, just so you
Mm,
understand where you are, how where you stand as a leader. Sometimes as leaders, we don't understand, all that we bring to the table. And so
mm,
what I like to do is just be able to share that with you, the good and the bad, that way
right.
we can, magnify more of the good and, wick away some of those bad things that may not be getting you the results that you want within the workplace or the organization that you're in. And then also, again, I'm a giver by heart, period. I
Yes,
get
you
happy
are.
when I'm able to give people stuff. So, first 10, this book will change your life. And not only is she giving prayers about praying for your adult children, it's stuff in there to help you too, mama or daddy. So yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. So, you've heard that it's a free book and also just helping you to enhance your leadership. I mean, getting a free session, the value of that alone, right? But she's giving that, especially to our audience, our listeners, and there's a limit on those too. So, if you wait too long, she may not have those open, but you can still connect with her regardless. She'd love to hear from you. When she
Yes.
checks her email 50, 11 times, she will get back to you. So, again, thank you all for listening to this podcast episode. I am so glad you tuned in. Please leave us a review. We want to hear what you thought, or just simply go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and hit 5 stars if it was that impressive for you. Let us know your thoughts, what other episode topics you'd like for us to talk about. Until then, stay well, and I will see you again next Wednesday. Take care, everybody.